Before history, before language, before the first gods, humanity lived in a world of two halves. There was the day, a brief period of light and survival, and there was the night, an endless, terrifying kingdom of cold, darkness, and fear. 4. Early man, the setting of the sun was a death sentence. The world plunged into an absolute blackness that our modern minds cannot comprehend. The cold seeped into their bones. And from the darkness came the sounds of the true kings of the night, the saber-toothed cat, the cave lion, the dire wolf. Humanity was not the apex predator. We were the prey, huddled together in caves, armed with nothing but rocks and sticks, praying for the dawn. But sometimes, the sky itself would offer a terrifying and beautiful gift. A bolt of lightning would tear through the heavens, striking a dead tree and giving birth to a monster. Fire. At first, this force was an object of pure terror. It consumed everything in its path, a destructive god that could not be stopped. Yet, our ancestors observed. They saw that the beasts of the night, even the most powerful ones, fled from this roaring light. They felt its warmth pushing back the biting cold. A stolen branch from a burning tree, carried back to the cave, became a temporary shield. It was a borrowed piece of the sun, a magical ward that kept the darkness at bay. For a time, this was enough. They became keepers of a flame they could not create. The life of a small clan might revolve around feeding this precious, captured fire, never letting it die. But when the rains came, or when the fuel ran out, the flame would sputter and die. And the night, with all its terrors, would return. The great leap, the revolution that would forever separate humanity from the rest of the animal kingdom, was not the use of fire, but its creation. This was not a single eureka moment. It was likely a discovery born from thousands of years of patient observation and accidental genius. Perhaps a craftsman, chipping away at a piece of flint to make a tool, saw a tiny, miraculous spark jump from the stone and ignite a piece of dry moss. Perhaps another, trying to drill a hole in a piece of wood, felt the friction create a burning heat and a wisp of smoke. Imagine that moment, the focused, repeated effort, the tiny spark, the glowing ember, the gentle breath that coaxes it into a fragile, dancing flame. In that instant, a human being is no longer a victim of the world. They are a creator. For the first time, they hold in their hands the power to make their own sun, to banish the night whenever they choose. The world would never be the same. The power to create fire at will was the single greatest revolution in human history. The flame, once a terrifying god, was now a tamed servant. And with this new servant, humanity began to reshape its own destiny. The first change was the creation of home. The campfire became the heart of the clan, the first true hearth. It created a defined circle of light and warmth in a world of darkness and cold. Inside this circle was safety, community, and humanity. Outside was the wild, the unknown, the predators. For the first time, our ancestors had a focal point, a place to return to, a center for their world. Fire conquered the night. The day was no longer bounded by the rising and setting of the sun. With fire, the hours of darkness could be filled with activity. It was in these precious fire-lit hours that culture was forged. Elders could pass down stories and survival techniques. New, more complex tools could be crafted with greater precision. Social bonds were strengthened through shared time and stories whispered around the glowing embers. Then came the second great revolution, cooking. The discovery that applying fire to food transformed it was as important as the discovery of fire itself. Raw meat was tough to chew and full of parasites. Raw plants were often indigestible or poisonous. Cooking unlocked a universe of new, safe, and energy-rich food sources. This change in diet had a direct and profound impact on our evolution. Cooked food is easier to digest, meaning our bodies spent less energy on digestion and could absorb far more calories. This energy surplus fueled the growth of the most energy-hungry organ in our bodies, the human brain. We were literally cooking our way to becoming smarter. Fire also became a formidable weapon and a tool. In the great hunts of the Ice Age, Fire was used to drive massive herds of mammoths or bison into traps or off cliffs, allowing small bands of hunters to take down prey many times their size. The simple act of hardening the tip of a wooden spear in the embers of a fire turned it into a far more lethal and durable weapon. For the first time, humanity was not just a creature in the environment. It was a force that could shape it. Early humans began to use fire to manage the landscape, clearing away scrub to encourage the growth of edible plants or create grazing land to attract game. The tamed flame was humanity's first tool of mass environmental engineering. The world was no longer something to simply survive in. It was something that could be molded to our will. The taming of fire did more than change our diet and our tools. It rewired the human brain and gave birth to society. The campfire became the first social network, a magnetic force that pulled the clan together, forcing them to sit, to face one another, and to communicate. In the long dark hours made safe by the fire's light, a revolution in language took place. The day was for survival, for grunts, gestures, and simple commands. The night was for something more. Around the hearth, with bellies full and predators held at bay, our ancestors had the time and the security to develop complex language. They could plan the next day's hunt in detail, share knowledge of distant lands, and, most importantly, share their memories and experiences. The fire itself became the first theater. As our ancestors stared into the dancing, hypnotic flames, their imaginations were ignited. The shifting embers and swirling smoke became a canvas for the first great stories. An elder could point to the shapes in the fire and speak of the great mammoth spirit, of the trickster wolf, of the creation of the world from a single spark. Myths, legends, and a shared culture were born in the firelight. This was the birth of the human imagination. Fire was now more than a tool, it was a powerful symbol. It represented life, safety, and the spirit of the clan itself. The duty of the firekeeper became a sacred trust. A fire peacefully shared between two groups was a symbol of alliance. A fire stolen or extinguished was a profound insult, an act of war, and with this new power came a new darkness. The same flame that warmed and protected could also be turned into a devastating weapon against other humans. The torch that illuminated. The path could be used to burn a rival's shelter. The controlled burn that cleared a field for hunting could be used to destroy an enemy's territory. For the first time, humanity wielded a weapon of mass destruction. The fire had given us community, language, and art. It had sparked our imagination and created our first gods. But it had also given us a new and terrible capacity for organized violence. We had been forged in the flame, and like the fire itself, we now possessed the power both to create and to utterly destroy. The gift of fire was the spark that ignited civilization itself. It was the foundational technology, the one discovery, upon which almost all others would be built. The speaking flame had forged our minds and societies. Now it would forge our world. The first great leap powered by fire was the age of ceramics. Early humans discovered that when you subjected wet clay to the intense, controlled heat of a kiln, it transformed into a new, rock-hard, waterproof material. This was the birth of pottery. For the first time, humanity could create durable, waterproof containers to store grain, carry water, and cook food in new, more efficient ways. This simple technology was essential for the growth of the first settled villages and the agricultural revolution. Then, fire unlocked the very secrets of the earth. Humanity discovered that certain rocks, when heated to extreme temperatures, would bleed a strange, new substance, metal. This was the birth of metallurgy. The controlled heat of a furnace allowed us to melt and shape copper, then bronze, and eventually iron. This was a revolution on par with the taming of fire itself. Metal tools were far more durable and efficient than stone. Metal plows could break open tough soil, expanding agriculture. And metal weapons, the bronze sword, the iron spearhead, created a new, terrifying era of warfare, forging the first empires. From the humble campfire grew the roaring furnaces that would build and destroy civilizations. Fire became the engine of progress. It powered the kilns that baked the bricks for the first cities. It provided the light for the first scholars, to study through the night. It was at the heart of the alchemist's workshop and the blacksmith's forge. Every significant technological leap, from the steam engine to the rockets that would take us to the moon, can trace its ancestry back to that first controlled flame. But this power came with a profound and permanent consequence. Our mastery of fire marked the beginning of humanity's separation from the natural world. We were no longer just another animal, subject to the cycles of day and night, heat and cold. We were a species that could create our own environment, a bubble of warmth and light wherever we went. This mastery also gave us an unprecedented power to consume. The forests that had stood for millennia could now be cleared in a fraction of the time. The resources of the earth could be melted down and reforged. The spark that once kept a small clan alive through a cold night had, over countless generations, grown into a global fire that would reshape the face of the planet. The story of fire is the story of humanity. It is a story of a terrified prey animal who stole a piece of the sun and, in learning to control it, became the master of the world. It is the story of a gift that gave us everything: our food, our homes, our societies, our technology, and the awesome, terrifying responsibility that comes with wielding the power of a god.
We have tamed the fire, snatched light from the darkness, and transformed our very being. But our journey into mastery had only just begun. From the chaos of the wild, humanity needed more than just warmth. It needed power. For millennia, our hands were our only tools, our strength our only defense. But deep within the mind of a single individual, a spark of a different kind ignited. The idea that a simple rock, when skillfully broken, could become an extension of our will, a weapon, a hunter's aid, a builder's hand. This wasn't just about making things. It was about making intelligence tangible. It was about the first thought translated into a functional object, the first cut, the first intention, the first step toward shaping the world with our own hands. Next time, witness the moment humanity first forged its mind into stone, the story of the first cut.